Have you ever had a manager who promised something and never followed through? Maybe it was a promotion, maybe it was a raise, maybe it was an opportunity to grow. Whatever it was, something changed the moment that promise was broken. Because employees don't stop trusting managers overnight. Trust is usually lost little by little, until one day it's gone completely. And that's exactly what we're talking about today. Why do employees stop trusting their managers? And more importantly, what happens when that trust disappears? Most people assume employees leave organizations because of salary, workload, or better opportunities. While those things matter, workplace psychology tells us that trust plays an even bigger role than many people realize. Think about it. When employees trust their manager, they're willing to take risks. They're willing to share ideas. They're willing to ask questions. They're willing to admit mistakes. They feel psychologically safe. But when trust disappears, everything changes. Employees become cautious. They stop speaking openly. They stop sharing feedback. And sometimes, they stop caring altogether. One of the biggest reasons employees lose trust is inconsistency. Have you ever worked for a manager who says one thing and does another? A manager who talks about transparency but keeps employees in the dark? A manager who says everyone's opinion matters but only listens to a few people? A manager who promotes fairness but treats people differently? Employees notice these things. In fact, they notice them much faster than managers realize. The second reason employees stop trusting managers is broken promises. This is one of the fastest ways to damage trust. When leaders repeatedly promise promotions, development opportunities, flexibility, recognition, or support, and then fail to deliver, employees begin questioning everything they hear. The problem isn't always the promise itself. Sometimes circumstances change. Sometimes business priorities shift. Employees can often understand that. What they struggle to understand is silence, lack of communication, or pretending that the promise was never made in the first place. The third reason is lack of recognition. Most employees don't expect constant praise, but they do want to feel seen. When effort goes unnoticed for months or even years, employees start asking themselves a simple question: does my work even matter here? And once that question enters someone's mind, motivation often begins to decline. Another major trust breaker is taking credit for someone else's work. Employees may not always say it out loud, but they remember it. When a manager presents an employee's idea as their own, or receives recognition without acknowledging the team's contribution, trust begins to erode. Because trust is built on fairness, and fairness is one of the strongest psychological drivers in any workplace. Now here's something many leaders overlook. Employees don't need perfect managers. They need honest managers. People can forgive mistakes. People can forgive bad decisions. People can even forgive failure. But they struggle to forgive dishonesty. The moment employees believe they can't rely on what their manager says, trust begins to disappear. And once trust is gone, the consequences are serious. Employees become disengaged. Collaboration decreases. Innovation slows down. Turnover increases. And eventually, organizations begin losing talented people they worked hard to attract. That's why trust isn't just a leadership skill. It's a business asset. The strongest managers aren't necessarily the smartest people in the room. They're often the people who consistently do what they say they're going to do. Because trust is built through small actions repeated over time, and trust is lost the same way. One conversation, one broken promise, one moment at a time. So here's a question for you. What's the fastest way a manager can lose your trust? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you're interested in understanding the psychology behind leadership, workplace behavior, and career success, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Workplace Psychology. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.